It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Yeah, I've lost like part of my eyebrow. My eye is always like swollen from itching it. I have good days and bad days, but for the most part, it's bad days. So it has not been any fun. I'm still honestly dealing with it. I've been taking unbelievable amounts of medication to try to get rid of it. It hasn't worked. It's obviously caused me to like gain weight and look a little bigger. And so that's been a topic of conversation through social media and stuff. But what can you do? But yeah, no, it's not been fun. And hopefully it goes away here pretty soon. You know, just it's hard to really tell, like nerve pain. Like I've been having nerve pain now for 2 months, and in the world of nerve pain for people who've had that before, it's not very long. So I hope it goes away soon, but there's no way to really know.
That's the Indiana Pacers' Tyrese Halliburton on his bout with shingles. He's been out due to a torn Achilles tendon, and that sounds terrible, PK. And I know the Pacers are hoping / expecting he'll be back next year and back in the form he was before his injury. The countdown on for Tyrese Halliburton.
Why would you take a bunch of medication, as he just said, if it's not working?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it works eventually. I don't know if he should stop taking it.
I know you're not a doctor, so I don't expect you to know. It wasn't a question directly to you.
Well, it sure sounded like one, so there you go.
It was generally speaking. I would never ask you a medical question. You can rest assured on that. It didn't make any sense. You're taking a bunch of medication, and then in the next breath you tell me it's not working. Don't take the freaking medication. Just because some guy says, here, take this, doesn't mean it's going to work.
Lakers star Luka Doncic is expected to return to the United States Friday. He is in Spain undergoing treatment for a grade 2 hamstring strain. His status for the NBA playoffs, unknown. The Lakers getting started on Saturday. He'll be back Friday. The postseason starts tonight with the NBA play-in tournament, Miami and Charlotte at 5:30, the Blazers and the Suns at 8. Both those games are on Amazon Prime Video. Blazers and Suns, that's for 7th place. Whoever wins gets to play, open the playoffs in San Antonio on Saturday.
Sweet. You finally acknowledge this is the postseason.
Yeah.
May the best teams win.
Miami and Charlotte, that's 9 versus 10. The loser's all done. The winner will play Friday to see if they can squeeze into the playoffs as the number 8 seed and play Detroit. Zion Williamson, Pelicans forward, fed up with never having made it to the NBA playoffs. Hasn't played in a single playoff game in his first 7 years with New Orleans. Is forecasting a different summer. Says my play on the court, it was okay. I was efficient, but I don't want to sit here and say it was okay. We're not even in the Western Conference play-in tournament. Individually, I have a lot to go work on. I want to be able to attack from multiple areas on the court. I want to be unpredictable on the offensive end, and I didn't really do a good job of that this year. I want to be able to do more for my team.
Way to go.
They want you to be able to do more too. So, all right, DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
They're coming and going in Provo. It's that time of year. BYU freshman guard Aleksej Kosic announced he will enter the transfer portal. BYU gets a commitment from Syracuse wing Tyler Betsy. He shot 40.7% from 3 this past season, coming off the bench for the Orange. He started in Cincinnati before going to Cincinnati, so he'll be on his 3rd school.
Yeah, those guys always make me a little leery.
Yeah, nervous, bouncing around. Well, you were there when the coach said he wanted shooting. He's gotten 2 commitments, and they're both guys who can shoot, or at least could shoot last season. Well, everyone anticipating they'll be able to shoot it well for BYU next season. Utah State gets a commitment from Snow College forward and center Sean Feltz. Averaged 13 points and 6.7 rebounds per game at Snow. So, Sean Feltz to Logan. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
NFL expected to make a push for an 18-game regular season and the next collective bargaining agreement with the NFL Players Association. The timeline for implementation of the expanded season with 2 bye weeks expected for teams and a Super Bowl on President's Day weekend. This will take effect sometime between 2028 at the earliest and 2031 at the latest. An 18th game. No one's asking for it, PK, but people will probably watch it and will make money, so it looks like it's going to happen.
Well, not to be argumentative, but I believe the NFL is asking for it.
That's probably true. There's 32 owners like, yes, please. Shovel some more money my way.
I was thinking then maybe the NBA moves its All-Star game to the off week.
That would make sense. I would assume that the NBA and NHL absolutely want to fit in around that. So, yeah, that'd be a good place to go.
Because you don't really want to push it back into the last week of February. Then you only got 6 weeks to go.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll end up with both those All-Star games on the same day because you're right. They're running out of real estate there in February as the NFL just keeps expanding. And with 2 bye weeks, I wonder if they'll start having byes in front of some of those Thursday games. That always seems to be a conversation, an issue for the Players Association. We'll see if that's something they can get done, how they'll do that. And that moves it back 1 week, so I assume it moves up a week. And this week we have where college football starts and we don't have pros on Labor Day. I assume that all changes, that we'll probably have NFL football getting going on Labor Day weekend. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
West High School quarterback Camden Lopati decommitted from Illinois. He's garnering more offers from Michigan, Notre Dame, Duke, Cal, Georgia, reportedly in the mix. What will he do? Well, decommit from Illinois for starters. See where it goes from there.
Well, I have no idea what he'll do.
He is a quarterback, but I think he's viewed as an athlete at the college level.
Considering it's been about 3 minutes since I've known of him.
It was pretty exciting. Created a lot of highlights, running around like crazy.
I got the 2
really
soccer stars and prep stars
quarterback
here on this show. We got you covered. Soccer and preps. Come here in the morning. Stay all day.
Texas Tech, the haul continues. 5-star defensive end Anthony Sweeney in the 2027 class. The 6'4", 230-pound pass rusher from Baltimore announced the move yesterday. So, Texas Tech reloading. Who are you going to pick in the title game this year?
Ghostbusters.
To be determined.
Who am I going to pick to play Tech?
Yeah.
BYU or Utah?
Right? Yeah. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
And there goes the ball. Trout sends one deep into the night. He's done it again. Mike Trout with his second home run. An absolute blast. And at long last, the Angels have taken the lead.
10-10 ball game. Pitch from Romano. Taken down low. Gets away from the hockey. Walking home is Caballero with the winning run. 11-10 final. Yankees win in the 5-game losing streak.
Crazy game, Yankees and Angels. Mike Trout goes deep twice. Aaron Judge answers him with 2 home runs. The 3-time MVP squaring off in a slugfest, and the Yankees finally win it. Their 5-game losing streak is over. They win a 1-run game for the first time this year, and they beat the Angels. Star power, hitting home runs, PK.
Yeah, there was a lot of runs scored in the game throughout the MLB yesterday, and both guys watching the game had received up and in pitches and then turn around in the very same at bat and hit a home run. And so I don't know if it was guys getting away, the pitch got away, or you threw high and in on Judge, so I'm going to throw high and in on Trout. And then both of them homered. And then Trout, that second one they just announced, went off the back wall of the bullpen out there in left center. And he's a Jersey guy, so I'm sure he had a bunch of family there to watch him. And he put on a show, but the Angels continue to suck.
That they do. Judge postgame was talking about Trout always performs when he comes home, and he does with a 3-run homer in the 6th and a 2-run homer in the 8th, and it's still not enough.
Yeah, where he lived in South Jersey, home is like 4 different teams. You got the 2 New York teams. Obviously, you got your Philly. You can go Baltimore and Washington. You can go north. You can go south. You can go a little west. And you've got, 2, 3, 5 teams within a 2 or 3 hour drive of where he grew up.
Baseball everywhere.
With Philly probably being about a half hour there.
Baltimore Orioles manager Craig Albernes hit in the face by a line drive, but apparently a glancing blow there in the dugout. He returned to the dugout later in the game. The guy who hit him, second baseman Jeremiah Johnson, inning later hits a grand slam, and the Orioles score 8 unanswered and rally from a 7-1 deficit to beat the Diamondbacks 9-7.
Yeah, it hit him
another
on the
wild game. Back to your point about
right side of the face.
Yeah,
and then he came back because the thing shot and he moved to get away and hit him in the right above the right cheek. Fortunately, it wasn't in the eye, but it was in whatever that bone is. I don't know. If
orbital bone.
Right next to the eye. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not all things to all people. But it didn't prevent. They went into the clubhouse and then he came back and you could see the big scar. And Lovello takes out a pitcher who's just cruising 7-1. It's in the 6th inning, man. You can't even throw a Little League complete game these days. 1 out in the 6th inning with 1 guy on, and you got to take him out. And then the next guy proceeds to get nobody out, and it's 7-6. And then Alonso hit a 2-run homer, and that game is over. And then Johnson hit another one there in the 9th. I think it was just a solo.
Tons of runs. How about the Pirates? 10 runs in the 6th, batting around. Big inning. They beat Washington 16-5. Man, people stuck with the Wizards and the Nationals. It's rough.
Well, at least there's Georgetown basketball.
Yeah. The A's winning streak is over. The Athletics lose to the Rangers 8-1. But the Mets losing streak continues. The Dodgers shut them out 4-0. So Mets have lost 6 in a row. DJ and PK, the Bees open a series there at the ballpark tonight. America First Square, Sugarland Space Cowboys, first pitch 6:35. Tony Park's on the call beginning at 6:20 on 1280 The Zone. We'll have the hockey on 97.5 The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Utah Mammoth, the penultimate regular season game tonight against the Winnipeg Jets, game 81. The Mammoth 1 point in front of the Kings in the battle for that first wild card. The Kings won. Got a 3-zip lead over Seattle going to the third. Most of it slipped away, but they got an empty netter in the final seconds, and they beat Seattle 5-3. So they're 1 point back, and both teams have 2 games to go. Kings will be playing in Vancouver tonight while the Mammoth hosts the Winnipeg Jets. And we will talk about the race and a rough weekend for the Mammoth with Mike Folta, radio voice of the Utah Hockey Club. He's going to join us at 8 o'clock. Tim Lacombe, jazz analyst for SCG Media, will join us at 8:30. That's all coming up. The question of the day is next. Stay with us, DJ and PK. What is trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing.
This is JJ and Alex.
I got these. Travis Yost, our guest. He covers the NHL for TSN.
For the Mammoth, I think they're the 4th best team in the West. I think that they would be a likely favorite against Anaheim. They could be or should be a favorite in a series against Vegas. If the Mammoth close the season as we expect, by goal differential, this is the best team that has ever been on the ice for either the Utah or Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes franchise by goal differential this season right here, right now. This team absolutely should not be thinking we made it to the playoffs. What an accomplishment. At this point, considering how good the Mammoth have been, and I mean that, they really should be thinking, how do we go in and win a round in the playoffs? And I think if you've got Anaheim on the ice, even if you're the road team in that series, that's a matchup the Mammoth should want, and it's one they should win.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. This week, you can win a pair of tickets to see Brit Floyd, the Pink Floyd tribute band, coming to the Maverick Center on June 6th. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and it's time for the question of the day. Hot takes or toast? How come so many BYU players are entering the transfer portal? Why? Why so many names? PK, there are many reasons on this list. You could start with, well, a lot of these guys didn't play and they want more playing time. I suppose every year everybody wants more NIL money, so that's pushing guys in. But a lot of these guys were buried on the bench. The coaches didn't want to play them. Kevin Young, I guess, overestimated how good they were or how good they could be. He's trying to upgrade his roster. So I assume there's a combination of guys who think they're better and, hey, I can go play somewhere else. This coach doesn't like me, but I'm going to play somewhere else. And Kevin wants better players because he wants to make NCAA tournament runs, and he clearly didn't want to play some of these guys.
Well, yeah, they're freshmen, and he thought they were going to be better, and they thought they were going to get more playing time?
Everybody's impatient.
That's not – I don't think that's it.
Really?
You're a freshman. Jimmer Fredette didn't start and play a whole lot as a freshman. There's thousands of examples of freshmen.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason Rick Pitino said he was going to quit recruiting high school kids. This very dilemma right here. The freshmen think they're going to come in and play. He wants to win with older kids. Just like, go get them later is his theory.
Well, I mean, he's 74 years old. He doesn't have tomorrow. He's got tonight. Who needs tomorrow?
Yeah. Sing it. Some of the freshmen played him, and Boop played a little bit. Now maybe he wants to play more. He thinks he can get more money. He wasn't completely buried on the bench. That's a freshman who got some time. Staten was completely buried, and he's in the portal. And
Kostic didn't play a whole lot. Diamante, he didn't play until the end of the season.
Right.
So, I mean, they're freshmen. You think that just moving is going to solve your problem? I don't know. I think it just goes to show that, BYU's they want to push that it's more than money. It's about how we love them up. Well, apparently that didn't matter to any of these kids.
No. And it didn't matter to the sophomores either because Abdul Ahmed's in the portal after joining them midseason, and Robert Wright, who did get the ball and did get to play a lot, he hit the portal too. So,
well, Wright has to get as much money as he can. He's undersized. He probably isn't going to play in the NBA. So who am I to say to his parents, don't go for the money?
It's his peak earning years right here.
You've already moved once. What's one more? You're not going to be recognized as when they go to celebrate or whatever or honor or come back. You're not going to be recognized as pretty much anybody. You're going to be recognized as a vagabond who just bounced around and you're not going to be alone. It's not like you're the only one. We had kids who moved back when they weren't getting money over the table. I mean, Carlino bounced around. Jake Heaps bounced around. They're all looking for shots or snaps, whatever it might be. And I don't think maybe they were. I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody of getting any money and what have you as far as that goes. So they move around. And now today, Wright, if he has an opportunity and if Kentucky is going to increase his money, I'm going to tell him no. He's not a Baylor Bear. He's not a BYU Cougar. He won't be a Kentucky Wildcat. He's got 2 more chances to make cash grabs. Go ahead and do it, son.
Depending on what kind of money you can get, these could be the 2 years that you make the most money the rest of your life. You could have perfectly good jobs, making great salaries, but this is the best earning years of your life, your junior and senior year playing college basketball.
Yeah. And so you're going to tell somebody don't do it?
Yeah, someone's going to give you $1, $2, $3 million depending on who you are and how good you are. It's like, man, you could have some perfectly fabulous $150,000, $200,000 a year job and never come anywhere near what you're about to do in the next 2 years.
Exactly. So you're going to say don't do it? And the money that in conversations, what Kyle has been telling us and others have said, it's going up 15 to 20%. Yes, it is. You got boosters who get their jollies off of their team winning, and they can be super rich, but they can't get that feeling anywhere else. With the only way it's coming through having your team, which you think you're a connection, and then you have access to kids that are much younger than you, and you get to say that you know them, so you get a little separation in your life. Yeah, we can see it. When the Utes were good in the 90s or great in the 90s, which they were, there was this guy who would get the travel schedule and try to be on the same planes as them. And we would travel on these little SkyWest planes from Fresno to Salt Lake. And, you know, it's the small two-seaters. And he'd be right there. And I saw him like they're having conversations among the players. And he's leaning up so he could hear and be a part of the conversation with the guys in the next row. And he's in his 40s, 50s, 60s with these, in some cases, teenagers. But that's what they want. That's what floats their boat. And they got the money. And if you have the money, you're going to have the access. That's just the way it is there.
We can tell you who was in the tunnel after the game at the NCAA tournament, away from everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they would get hugs from Majerus and hugs from the players. I was right there. I had my arms extended when Majerus came by to hug people, and he blew right by me as if I weren't there. That's a fact.
You're scarred by that.
Gene Wojciechowski, after they beat North Carolina, I'm standing right next to him. And here comes the big man rumbling down the off the court under the tunnel. And the two of us had our arms extended. Now, I was just doing it as a joke. And but I did not get a hug.
You just messing with Gene.
I should have taken pictures. I could have ruined careers, apparently.
Yeah. Question of the morning, why so many BYU players entering the transfer portal? There are many answers to this, and a lot of them hold at least part of the truth because there's many things happening at the same time. Jesse says, clean house and start fresh. Jesse just thinks that was not a good environment, especially at the end of the year. 16-1, they're rolling, but the losing streak, start over. You got to have a lot of disgruntled people, and things aren't going right.
So you're saying
to have the record they had when they had the top end talent. I mean, obviously the most important guys headed to the NBA probably is the first pick in the draft, and the other guys weren't good enough around him, even with his outstanding talent, or in some cases couldn't even get in the game.
So repeat what you just did and expect different results. Then is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know they'll repeat exactly what they did, but I get there's the risk of getting the same result. I mean, there is that risk. You know, now Michael says there are no BYU guys on the roster, only hired guns. We need BYU guys like Richie who have heart. You know, are you going to? It will be interesting. Are you going to build this roster the same way you built the last one, or will there be the quote unquote BYU guys there? It's tough because to really be a BYU guy, you have to be in the pipeline, and it isn't exactly clear how they're suddenly going to have 3 or 4 of those guys in the pipeline.
Well, I think they're going to assume the kid from Timpview is a BYU guy.
Right.
So they're just saying get Mormon guys. That's code. That's code, DJ. Decipher.
Guys who grew up on the Wasatch Front, even if they played at Kentucky for 2 years, can you be a BYU guy? If you're from Farmington?
You will for the next 2 years. So from that perspective, sure. Yeah, but what is a BYU guy?
A guy who's in the program, the guy you were referencing earlier, of which there just aren't that many because there's a couple thousand. I don't know what the number is now. It changes every day. Yak, do you know what the number is?
We're north of 2,000 last I saw.
Yeah.
2,000 what?
Portal entrance.
Oh, okay. Was Steve Cleveland a BYU guy? Is Kevin Young a BYU guy?
Steve Cleveland became a BYU guy.
No, he didn't.
No,
he was employed while he's been employed. They're talking about that's why you're going to stay because you're a BYU guy. Steve Cleveland got a better offer, and what did he do? He left.
Hello, Fresno.
And you think Kevin Young, if he got a better offer, he would stay? Why? If you thought you had a better situation, why would you stay? These guys aren't BYU guys. They're just hired to coach at BYU. You want to go Kalani as a BYU guy? Okay, you got me.
Do you think Kyle Whittingham became a Utah guy over the course of his 30 years?
Yes,
mean, he was a BYU guy
because
player.
He turned down multiple opportunities to leave. It wasn't so much that he was a Utah guy, is that he was a Whittingham guy. And I've told you 100 times over, he's told me one of his proudest accomplishments is all 4 kids went to the same grade school, went to the same junior high, went to the same high school. He moved once, and it was up the street. I know exactly where he was, and I know exactly where he moved to. And it couldn't have been, it was less than a mile away. It was just a bigger home when he got more money, because I think Mama wanted a bigger home. I've been there, right? And then, after the kids are all gone, he moved again to be closer to the U. And if you're a Utah guy, what does that get you when somebody else who comes in isn't a Utah guy and tells you, yeah, you can keep your job, but you ain't going to have any power?
Time to go.
So it's just, we have this fantasy and this romanticism of BYU guys and Utah guys. That sounds really good, and there are some of them who are. I just said Kalani. He's turned down. He turned down Penn State once BYU upped the money. Now, that's not to say he wouldn't have turned him down if they didn't up the money, but he did. Once they upped the money, he turned them down. And he said, I'm a competitive guy. We were sitting right there. We were 5 feet away from him, all three of us. And what he was saying is, they ponied up, and it met what I was looking for, so I stayed. I have no idea if they hadn't ponied up, maybe he still would have stayed. Or maybe he would have gone. I don't know.
Poker game, and he's not showing his cards.
Yeah. So
Chris says it isn't just BYU. Over half of all the players this offseason were in the portal at some point.
Sure, but BYU has gone to great lengths to tell you that it's not about the money and that we love them up. We're different.
If they're winning.
Have the other, well, if you're playing, I mean, if you're winning and sitting on the bench.
If you're winning, right?
I mean, they were undercut by injuries. Who knows if I have no problem saying that they could have gone out of the first round and they wouldn't have been in 9th or 10th place. I've got no problem on that. But their goals were Final Four. I don't know if they would have gone Final Four. So they probably would have failed their goal either way. But certainly the injuries limit them from achieving more. I've got no problems on that. So they did, under the circumstances, I mean, Kevin Young could only do so much here when he was losing a bunch of guys. Now, he did claim a couple of guys who we have no idea if they would have played or not, but that was making his case, so have sympathy for me. I was in a difficult situation, as most coaches would do. He's no different there. When it comes down to the sport, there's really not a whole lot of difference between BYU and everybody else. All the other stuff, sure. I mean, you're not going to get Kevin Young F-bombing like Hurley does constantly. We understand that. That's not going to fly. So it is different. Yes. And some things are different. There's no doubt about it.
So is he going to go down a different road to your earlier point about don't repeat it? If you bring in more freshmen who aren't quite ready, the coaches get frustrated because they're not good enough to win. The kids are frustrated because they're losing. And in some cases, maybe they're not playing enough. Or does he bring in more sophomores and juniors? Does he load up with seniors so when they're one and done, there's no issue because everybody knows right from the get-go? Or you bring in someone like Keita who's got 2 years to go, which is what they're doing with Chandler. So
I think you bring in the best players for the price. I think it's clear that going top-heavy and then have a bunch of freshmen or
isn't the way to do it.
Under-experienced guys, that's not going to work. So he learned. And he's going through stuff that is the first time for him. So I'm going to cut him some slack. I think he's an excellent coach. I think he'll figure it out. And I think they'll have a winning program for years to come. But he learned. Okay, the reason why Rob Wright is in the portal is because BYU doesn't want to pay him what he can possibly get. Yeah. And so they're saying that we can't go the same route and give a ton of money to this guy and then have all this inexperience coming off the bench. It's not going to work. So, Rob, if you can go get money for Kentucky, because it certainly isn't about playing time. It certainly isn't about FGAs. He had those in abundance. He played almost the whole game there at the end, and he shot whenever the crap he wanted, as Tim LaComb has told us. He's a point guard, and he would have games, or at least one, with 0 assists, and, of course, be second on the team in FGAs. So it's not about playing, it's about money. So don't put all your money in this 6-foot dude and then not have enough money for other guys because you need to outfit a team. You simply can't go one or two or even three guys and have one or two those guys get injured and or one or two of these guys have an off night, which is what we saw because they had lost 4 in a row with a healthy Richie Saunders. And now you're going to tell me that Dawson Baker was the answer? Boy, Irvine has never had a player to the caliber of Dawson Baker, apparently, who was the answer. If you're gonna say, well, he was injured too. I mean, yeah, he was, and he would have helped him. But to what extent would he have helped him? When he was playing, he didn't even average 20 minutes a game, and he averaged 7.5 points. So let's keep that in perspective. That's not to knock on him. Just don't tell me he would have been the solution to not having that 4-game losing streak when the big three was playing. No, there's more to that. It's actually not a knock on Baker. It's a knock on the other guys who clearly weren't good enough because he had no faith in them. And by the end of the season, it was obvious he had no faith in them. And somehow they're supposed to conjure up faith in themselves when the coach has zero faith in him and them. So it was a two-way street, and they all lacked all confidence. I lack confidence in you, and you lack confidence in yourself. Maybe, at least partially, because I lack confidence in you. So that was a learning experience. So now he goes through it. He being Kevin Young, he learns from it, and they get better. And I believe they have an opportunity to be better. They've got work to do to fill out the roster, but just simply through the experience of Kevin Young, they should be more prepared for things that caught them short this past season.
Brady says it's the problem with college sports today. It's yearly free agency. It happens to every team. BYU benefited heavily from it last year, even though a lot of those players didn't quite pan out. And we'll see if they benefit again this year.
How in the heck did they benefit from it if they didn't pan out?
I thought that was a little bit of a contradiction. But they did go get a point guard from Baylor, and he was their second leading scorer, and they did start 16-1 to make the NCAA tournament. So I guess there's that. I mean, it could have gone worse. He says KY has a plan, and I don't blame those young men for testing the NIL waters. NIL waters. It is what it is. I think Brady is bracing for this every year. The roster will just keep getting turned upside down.
Yeah, I suppose if you think that's a problem, then, and we have no problem with coaches moving all around, and make these kids have buyouts then. I mean, that's really the only thing that's holding them back is, and we saw with the Washington quarterback that they were going to sue him out the yin yang, and he ended up not going. So make them have buyouts, sure. Then they've got the same stipulations as the coaches, and the coaches can leave. And Utah State can have a revolving door of coaches, or they've had. Hopefully they don't, but they've had one. And so we're gonna criticize the players for moving. It's just that from the BYU's perspective, don't tell me that all these kids didn't come for the opportunity to play on a really good team and get cash, right? That's why the slew of these kids came. Rob Wright did not come to be loved up. That sounds good, and that's just admit it. We've got money, and we're going to pay these kids just like everybody else. And we've got different rules. Or maybe don't even let the rules speak for themselves and not worry about that stuff. And don't constantly resist and persist against the argument, push against the argument that you're just a money basketball team like everybody else. Because they don't like to hear that. Well, these kids going in, apparently the love wasn't enough to get them to stay.
No, you don't feel the love when you're sitting on the bench.
Yeah, I think some of them are dreamers. They're freshmen.
Yep,
and
totally agree.
I don't know what Kostic and some of these other guys, what they actually thought they were going to be able to achieve as freshmen. I mean, Jimmer Fredette played 18 minutes a game as a freshman, averaged 7 points. And by his senior year, he was player of the year.
And these guys a lot of them didn't even come close to his freshman numbers. Just really buried.
Right. He shot 33% from three.
I don't think it's just
as a
freshman. I mean, there's, Ahmed's coming in. He's been in the G League.
He's not good enough.
If you're in the G League and you come back to college, don't you think you're going to be pretty good?
No,
and yet his
I have no idea what he's
thinking.
thinking.
And that was because his production was up and down.
His production was down. Well, I'm not sure it was ever up. He's not a player. He was blessed with height, but that's it. I mean, it's harsh to say, but these kids have... normally I would be hesitant to say that, but everybody knows it, so we can have the elephant in the room here and act like we're not supposed to say it, but every BYU fan listening understands what I'm saying. They agree with me, too. There's not one BYU fan who's thinking, my gosh, we lost that kid? What the crap is going on in Provo? I mean, it's gone from Provo to Go-Vo.
Ooh.
Ooh?
Look at you. Very nice.
Look at me? I'm tired of being looked at. I want to be more anonymous.
Well, you just can't be as clever as Provo and Govo and think you're going to remain anonymous, PK. If you're going to give us that level of genius, you're going to have to deal with a certain level of popularity and fame. That's just the way it is.
PK, take it off, baby.
Yeah, I want to be
I will
anonymous.
take the level of fame, but I will never acquiesce or agree that I'm popular.
I look hot in leather. What can I say?
Especially now that I'm no longer a TV guy, stick your popularity.
Hey, the rivalry in all things. All this talk about the BYU and kids transferring. James, how about the Utes? About the same number, isn't it? Question mark. Yeah, you can go through a lot of teams. That's why there's over 2,000 kids in the portal.
So that makes you feel better? I got in a car wreck and you got in a car wreck too?
That's right. Hey, look, my fender's dragging on the road. Yeah, so's theirs. Ha!
I'll read this text. I don't think it's personal to mind this. Quote, this was sent to me literally 5 minutes ago. Will there be a segment breaking down why so many Utah Utes players are entering the portal? What about all the big-time studs who have now signed with Utah, ?
Nope. I don't think teams want to break down the last-place team in the league. I just don't think people expect the last-place team to have a lot of roster turnover. They weren't good enough.
Well, when will be the next time Utah has, forget a lottery pick, but a draft pick?
That is a very good question.
I mean, obviously they're not good enough. We don't come to where much is given, much is expected. Much wasn't given, so much isn't expected. Those are your own scriptures there, BYU fans, so get off my back.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Roster decisions for these college teams, roster decisions for the pro teams. What should the Jazz do with their big guys, free agents? Kevin Love, Jusuf Nurkic. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Scotty G Thursday from noon to 3. RGS Exteriors at 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. All right, we just had the question of the morning. Why so many guys on the move at BYU? It is that time in the world of basketball. What about Jazz guys on the move? What should the Jazz do with the free agents Kevin Love and Jusuf Nurkic? Eric says, keep Nurk on a reasonable contract and make Love an assistant coach. Joshua says, Nurkic, if it's less than $8 million a year, Love at less than $5 million. If not, let him walk. Yeah, I don't think they can spend $13 million on those two guys. Or 12 if you want to bring them in at a slightly lower number. Neil, keep Nurkic, retire Love. Vinny, we need Nurkic. He'd be awesome to lead a second set of players. 3 triple-doubles in 3 games. He scores, rebounds, and plays defense. Keep him, all caps, exclamation marks. I assume they're both gone. Am I up in the night, PK? You'd love to tell me I'm up in the night.
No, I think you're up in the morning. It's only 7:52.
There it is.
Well, I think that under the circumstances that them being free agents, and Nurkic had a good season. I don't think you can deny that. The nose got in the way, but they had to come up with a reason, and the nose provided it. The nose knows. And with that in mind, I would think that there would be some teams that would be after him. You know, he's only 31 years old. Doesn't it seem like he's been around for 15 years in the NBA?
He has been. It does seem like he's been around for 15.
Right, but he is. I looked it up yesterday, just because that was a topic of discussion, obviously, and the players were talking about it. 31 years old. It's not that old. So what is going to be the value for him on the free agent market? That's what they need to see. You know, a lot of the players, and I appreciate this, they talked about how much they liked those two guys as the older guys on the team. Love being substantially older. He's 37 years old. I don't know how much he's going to be able to contribute at 38. You look at Joe Ingles, who I think is 38, and he was on the team for Minnesota, but he rarely played. But, you know, he's still got NBA money, and maybe Love can contribute. There's a lot of ways to contribute to winning. It isn't necessarily what shows up in the box score, obviously. But I don't want them to bring them back because they were nice people. That's great that they're nice people, and ultimately that's the most important thing in life. We all should take that as examples and try to be nicer, better. Me at the top of the list, no doubt about it. I want them to bring them back if it's cost effective and they think they can help them win. If it's cost effective and they think they can help them win, then yes. If they believe that they can have money better spent elsewhere, well, they're going to be good guys and they're going to survive either way. These guys have moved around now a number of times, and the thing about it is they completely understand the situation. They know that this is a business. They've been through it multiple times, literally had to move all over the country, and in the case of Nurkic, all over the world, obviously, because he's not American, and he's just fine wherever he goes. So they wouldn't be offended by it. But if it's cost effective and management believes they can help the team, or one of the guys can help the team, whatever it might be, yeah, bring them back.
To your point, Nurkic has played for 5 NBA teams now. It hasn't always gone well, and I do wonder if he'd stay somewhere for a little less money. So what is the market going to be like?
Possibly.
How much money is out there? But
yeah.
If he can get veteran exception money somewhere, and big guys, I mean, he can score it. He can rebound and pass. So I expect he's going to get a better offer, and he's going to take it. And
that very well could be.
Better, because the Jazz are starting to get painted into a little bit of corner here, and we'll see what number Walker Kessler gets. And then they'll have to pay Keontae a year later, and
the league needs to do away with that stuff. We're going to prevent you from being as competitive as you want. Oh, but my gosh, you're tanking over here, so we're not going to allow you to be as good as you want to be. Mm-hmm. And then when you're not as good as we want you to be, we're going to fine you.
Right. If you're too good, it's a problem. If you're too bad, it's a problem. What we need is a lot of parity and mediocrity.
That makes a hell of a sense, as what my friend once said to me.
Okay, just acknowledge that was your problem, though. You did that. You were winding him up. You knew you were winding him up. And then you burst out laughing when you got the results of you winding him up. It was about you, PK.
I do not plead anything but. And all these years, I remember it later and still laugh about it. That makes a hell of a sense. He got all fired up, and he got his tongue in the way instead of a hell of a lot of sense. That makes a hell of a sense. And me and the other guy who was with me, both guys I played high school ball with, we laughed hysterically, which was the point.
That was 3 high school baseball players sitting in the dugout looking for a laugh. In this case, in a car looking for a laugh, but same thing.
Right, yeah.
It's just an extension of the dugout.
My sister, who's many years older than me, had lent me, I had to watch her dogs, and in exchange, she let me use her Barracuda for the week. I think they went on a California vacation. So, we were driving around, and so I had the cool. That was like the 1 week in my whole high school career that I had the cool car.
I think the thing with Nurkic, 11 points, 10 boards, 5 assists, those are pretty good numbers. He can play. He can play for backup money. He can get good money doing that. So I think he's probably gone. But you and I were having a conversation. It's funny you bring up Joe Ingles, because when you and I had the conversation about Joe talking about playing one more year last time we had him on, we had both looked at his numbers and how he's getting used, and it's like it doesn't really seem like it. Clearly he brings something to the mix of personalities, and we've seen those personalities clash on the bench. And clearly Joe brings something they need. And it isn't the three-point shooting and the passing that Jazz fans loved when he was, 30 years old and in his prime.
Yeah.
But he clearly brings something to the locker room, because the numbers don't suggest.
Well, the DMPs, that's all the numbers are.
Yeah, right? There's no way he should be. So and he knew. I mean, they clearly had conversations. Yeah, I think I'd like to play. Oh, you knew, Joe. You're couching it, and we get it, but you knew. So I don't know, maybe Nurkic, because he has been places and he hasn't. I mean, chronically, the Phoenix thing didn't go well for him. He didn't like that. So maybe he's at a point in his career where I will take this role and this money, even though I could get a bigger role and a bigger money somewhere else. The question is always how much of a bigger role. and how much more money. So it's hard to evaluate that. I could see where he'd be back, and I can see where it'd be a good idea to be back. But it just looks like, having watched him play this year, he's got too much in the tank, and somebody's going to give him more.
And we'll have to see to the level of more, because this kid, this man, I should say, has been around, and I would think he would recognize a good situation. And, hey, I know Will Hardy was reluctant to put a number and talk playoffs, but Keontae George did, and everybody knows it's out there. Whether you say it or not, it doesn't matter. The rest of us will say it. I'll say it, that it has to be. I appreciate what the Mammoth did last year going into this season, where so many of them openly talked about the playoffs. They achieved the goal. Good for them. And the Jazz, they didn't have the steps to winning that the Mammoth have had the last 3 or 4 seasons, obviously going back to when they were in Arizona. And they're going to have to take a quantum leap that usually isn't there. But we all know, as you've pointed out many times, Tim Lacombe has pointed it out many times, that this team was a 22-win season. Well, the records will reflect it, but we all know that if they played to win 82, they would have won far more, at least 10, if not more. Who knows?
Right.
Especially after the trade, if Jackson could have been healthy. And so with that in mind, maybe the leap that they need to take isn't near as big, because they weren't as bad as a 22-win season reflected, and they needed to do that to keep the pick because of the Favors trade, blah, blah, blah. We all know that story. So Nurkic can look at the situation and say, hey, I can have a backup role, and who knows, Kessler missed the whole season essentially. What will happen? And I don't even know he may not even know what's going to happen with Kessler. And so I can be here. Maybe I take a little bit more, but I'm going to be in a winning situation. Will Hardy obviously knows me. I know Hardy. We're both ends are comfortable here. Why mess with something good? And you stand to be on a team that is going to win together for the first time. And I think there's something special and bonding about that, winning together for the first time, because most of these guys outside of Jackson and Nurkic, I assume, has been in the playoffs, and Love, obviously, if he comes back. But the core hasn't been. Markkanen has never been, and obviously the younger guys haven't been. So winning together will produce a level of excitement, right, that we see when teams go. Now, Stockton hit the dramatic shot, but suppose it wouldn't have come down to that. I think they still would have celebrated far more vigorously the first time they went to the final as opposed to the second time they went to the final, right? It's a big deal when you win something for the first time, and that's what this team will do. To what extent remains to be seen, but they will do it next season.
That is a plausible scenario, and it's the scenario that keeps him here, and it could happen. It could happen. I just think his production is going to get him more money somewhere else.
Well, he has to decide whether he wants it.
Right, exactly. So we'll see. And we'll have to see. I mean, other teams, he probably isn't going to be the first move. If on your first move you got to spend more money to get accomplished whatever you need to accomplish, then you got less for the second move. If you're not at the top of the market, sometimes you wait your turn before the offers come your way, and they will come his way. But when and how good will they be? And maybe the big money is with a team that's terrible like the Wizards, and he didn't want to put himself through that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they would go after big money after somebody like that. But I get your point. You're just throwing out a hypothetical, so I understand that. You're not saying it's literal, but yeah, he has to see. And if he decides to go because he's in a better situation with more cash, more power to him. That's what it's about, man. Most of us would probably do the same thing. Yeah,
you go to work to make money. So if you can go make the most money, you can't really blame him. When we come back, Mike Folta, radio play-by-play, voice of the Utah Mammoth. 2 games left, 1 point. 1 point in front of the LA Kings in the race to get that first wild card spot, and what looks like on paper a much more favorable matchup with the Pacific Division champion. We'll talk with Mike next with the Jets looming tonight. Stay with us right here on The Zone.